It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hey there, badass warriors. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, amplifying women's voices. I'm Kelly Hint, queen bee of this hive, your host, psychotherapist, life coach, and professional mythbuster when it comes to society's outdated BS. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's been pulling the strings on our mental health for centuries: how patriarchy shapes mental health, unpacking the emotional toll. We often talk about stress, burnout, anxiety, depression, but what if I told you that so much of our emotional exhaustion isn't just personal, but structural? Yeah, I'm talking about the patriarchy. This system isn't just about who holds political office or who gets paid more. It seeps into our minds, shaping how we see ourselves, how we navigate relationships, and how we process emotions. So today, we're breaking it all the way down. We'll look at the psychological toll, the real mental health effects, and, most importantly, what we can do about it. So get comfy, grab your favorite drink, and let's dismantle some BS together. Ready? Let's go. So I know we've talked about mental health before, we've talked about the patriarchy before, but I kind of want to put all of these things into a nice little package, a nice little episode. So I want to start by talking about the patriarchy's psychological blueprint. So let's first get clear on what we mean by patriarchy when we're talking about mental health. It's not just about men versus women. It's a system of power that dictates how we should behave, what roles we should play, and what we shouldn't feel. Sound familiar? That's because we've all been marinating in it since birth. Men, women, and everyone in between. So let's talk about the biggest patriarchal mind tricks that mess with our mental well-being. The first one, emotional suppression. Women are expected to be nurturing, kind, and self-sacrificing. Anger? Not cute. Assertiveness? You're too much. This leads to bottled up frustration, resentment, and, surprise, higher rates of anxiety and depression. And to toss some crumbs at any guys who are listening here, emotional suppression from patriarchal dictates affects you too. You know how you're not supposed to cry? That didn't just happen, right? And fun fact, you are allowed to cry. You are allowed to express more than anger as an emotion. And this is why pushing back against the patriarchy is important. And then the next piece here, we talked about this in our last episode, perfectionism. So perfectionism and overachievement. We have been conditioned to believe that we have to work twice as hard to be seen as competent. This pressure fuels imposter syndrome and chronic burnout. And then the good girl trap. Be likable. Be agreeable. Don't rock the boat. This mindset keeps us in toxic relationships, draining jobs, and people-pleasing cycles that erode our self-worth. And then how about body image and self-worth? Patriarchy profits off of our insecurities. It sells us beauty standards that are impossible to meet, and then shames us for trying too hard or not trying enough. And then how about that caretaker syndrome? Women are expected to be caregivers by default, whether it's raising kids, supporting a partner, or even taking on the emotional labor in friendships and workplaces. Not surprisingly, this expectation leads to exhaustion, resentment, and often depression. I see caretaker syndrome is one of the things that I see in my practice so frequently. A lot of my ladies are freaking exhausted. They're depressed because they're taking care of everyone else except themselves. And then how about the guilt factor? Oh, this one pokes my buttons and pisses me off. Women are made to feel guilty for prioritizing themselves, whether it's choosing a career over motherhood, setting boundaries, or simply freaking resting. We are often made to believe that we are failing someone. Got to be productive, got to be doing something. We can't possibly choose a career over motherhood. Oh my gosh, that makes us horrible humans. No, it doesn't. It makes us humans. And then that gaslighting and minimization. And again, this is another one I have a hard time not going off about, but I'm trying to be so much better about not unleashing my crazy in my episodes. So women's pain, both physical and emotional, is often dismissed. Whether it's in medical settings, the workplace, or relationships, we are told that we're exaggerating, overreacting, or being too emotional. Ladies, okay, so I have never had an IUD, but I have worked with many women and had personal relationships with many women who have. And let me tell you, the stories that they tell me about the pain of either inserting or removing an IUD, like no pain medication is offered, nothing. It's like we're slapped around like a Thanksgiving turkey and have stuff shoved in and out of us and nobody cares. When I was pregnant with my first child, so again, first pregnancy, I was terrified. I was, maybe 5-6 months pregnant and I had some bleeding. And so I went to the hospital and there was a male doctor there. And he walked in, put a glove on, shoved his hand inside of me, took the glove out, looked at it, said, "No blood," took it off, and walked out. What the hell? I was sitting there. I was terrified. I was having pain. And this man didn't even give me the common courtesy to look at me and ask me about what I was experiencing. And again, like with the IUD thing, we're just supposed to experience all this pain. Childbirth, women are often shamed for choosing pain medication or an epidural because we're just supposed to take it. I can't remember if I shared this in my podcast or just shared this in a session with one of the people that I work with, but a man that I know was offered lidocaine, pain, like numbing cream, for the insertion of an IV. And like this man's veins are huge and there's no problem hitting the vein whatsoever. Meanwhile, I get bruised from elbow to fingertips whenever I get an IV put in. Nobody ever offered me any kind of pain relief. But again, this is the gaslighting, the minimization. Like women are just expected to deal with pain, or we're just being too emotional. And these aren't just abstract concepts. They lead to real mental health struggles, from eating disorders to chronic stress, and even PTSD from gender-based violence. And the worst part? Most of us don't even realize how deeply ingrained these beliefs are until we actively start unpacking them. But wait, there's more. Of course. Patriarchy doesn't just dictate what we feel, but also how we are allowed to express it. Oh, I can feel myself getting feisty already. I mean, honestly, have you ever noticed how men's anger is often seen as powerful, but women's anger is often dismissed as hysteria? Or how women are expected to carry the emotional burdens of their partners, families, and workplaces while rarely being offered the same support. This emotional labor isn't just exhausting, it is harmful. Studies show that constantly suppressing emotions increases the risk of anxiety disorders, cardiovascular disease, and even autoimmune conditions. And I know I've talked before about being medically gaslit when I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. All these male doctors telling me it's all in my head. Turns out, one blood test later, yeah, I have lupus. But no, it was all in my head, right? Anyway, here's another kicker. Patriarchy doesn't only impact women. It affects everyone. Like I said before, men are often taught to suppress vulnerability, which leads to higher rates of substance abuse, depression, and even suicide. So yeah, this system of patriarchy is failing everyone. And if you don't believe me, let's look at the receipts. Research backs up what we already feel. Studies show that women experience higher rates of anxiety and depression than men, largely due to societal expectations and unequal power dynamics. Also, women are more likely to be prescribed antidepressants instead of being taken seriously for conditions like ADHD, autism, or even chronic pain. And then there's the wage gap and unpaid labor at home, which contributes to financial stress, which is one of the biggest factors in mental health struggles. And the gaslighting, the microaggressions, and workplace discrimination lead to imposter syndrome and self-doubt, keeping us from pursuing leadership roles or advocating for ourselves. And of course, the pressure to be a superwoman, like I had mentioned last episode. Balancing career, family, and personal growth. It leads to chronic stress and burnout, yet society rarely offers real support. And then gender-based violence, including harassment, assault, and domestic abuse, has direct mental health consequences. Direct. Including PTSD, depression, and suicidality. And women of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and other marginalized groups face compounded stress due to intersecting oppressions, which leads to even higher rates of mental health struggles. And here's the thing. When we do speak up about our struggles, we get hit with, "You're overreacting," or "just be more positive." And don't even get me started on the toxic positivity movement. Oh wait, I already did an episode on that. Go listen to it if you haven't. Again, I mean, the truth is, the system was never designed for us to thrive in. But recognizing that is the first step to changing it. Okay, enough gloom and doom. Let's talk solutions. How do we break free? Because recognizing the problem is only half the battle. The real question is, how do we reclaim our mental well-being? The first piece is some radical self-compassion. Ladies, you are not weak for struggling. You are not failing just because you're exhausted. Give yourself permission to rest and reject guilt for not doing it all. You do not have to do it all. I will say that 1,000 times if you need me to. In the next piece, reclaim your voice. Say no. Speak up. Take up space. You do not need to shrink yourself to be loved, respected, or accepted. Not gonna lie, this one was hard for me. Not because I don't know how to set and enforce boundaries. Oh no, I do that like a badass. I have no problem saying no. My problem was I would shrink myself because I was told I'm too much. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be accepted. I have family members who have rejected me because of who I am. And for a while, I wanted to try and change who I am. And then I was finally able to empower myself and to recognize, you know what? It's okay if I'm not for everyone. I think being a therapist actually taught me that, to be very honest, because my style as a therapist isn't for everyone. And that one was hard because all I want to do is help people, right? That's what I want to do as a therapist. I want to help people, but yet my style isn't always a match for some, and that's okay. They talk about that in grad school, but when it actually happens to you, it really kind of sucks because rejection sucks. I have a lifetime of rejection going all the way back to the wee bits of my childhood. And like anyone else, like I don't want to be rejected. It hurts. It sucks. But I no longer stay quiet to make other people comfortable. I'm going to call people out. The jokes aren't funny when they're racist or sexist or they're disparaging to me. And so people think that my profession is not worthy. So what? They don't need to benefit from it then, right? I have reclaimed my voice, and I urge you to reclaim yours. Will it be all sunshine and roses? Hell no. You're going to piss people off, they're going to reject you, and they're going to walk out of your life. And if that's the case, they did not belong there in the first place. I promise you that. There are other people out there waiting for you with open arms. And then the next step that we have to take is to dismantle the internalized patriarchy. Start to notice where you judge yourself or other women unfairly. Challenge those beliefs. Rewrite the script. I've done it. I still every now and then catch myself being a jerk. And whether it's to myself or someone else. Full disclosure, I really struggle to be empathic towards people that I see being crappy to other people. And I kind of, I get dirty. I go in the gutter. I say horrible things in my mind about people who are not accepting of others. And that's something that I'm trying to work on. Not to accept their crappy behavior, but to remember that it comes from somewhere, especially when I see women embracing the patriarchy to the detriment of others. If you want to live a certain way, that's fine, but you don't get to be an ass to somebody who doesn't want to live the same way that you do. And I'm not there. I'm not there for it at all. And then, of course, I can't say this enough. Seek therapy and community support. Whether it's a therapist, a coach, or a solid group of feminist friends, surround yourself with people who get it and lift you up. You don't have to be in an echo chamber of everybody saying the same thing all the time, but like-minded people who accept you for who you are find them, be with them. They will lift you up. They will support you. They will validate who you are. And then, of course, set boundaries like a boss. I've said it 1,000 times. Saying no is not selfish. It is self-preservation. Start enforcing boundaries at work, at home, and in your relationships. And then, if you have any energy left at the end of the day, advocate for systemic change. This isn't just about personal work. It's about shifting the entire culture. Start supporting policies that promote gender equality in the workplace, healthcare, and beyond. Ladies, we've got to start making some noise, because together we can change our society. But it's not going to happen with us sitting around bitching and moaning about how things suck. And I'm going to add something else in here too. Find your male allies also. Because, again, it sucks that it has to be this way, but they're often listened to more than we are. Don't be afraid to enlist in their support also. Because again, the men who are true allies to women, they are some pretty amazing creatures. I have several of them in my life, and I do not know what I would do without them. All right, now for our quote of the week. I can't seem to stay away from Audre Lorde because she comes up with some fabulous quotes, and this one is no exception. She says, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." Hell yes. All right, everyone. That's all I've got for you this week. And as always, if this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And please join the conversation in the Hint Hive Facebook group. We are building a community of badass women who refuse to shrink. And if you're ready to dig even deeper, check out my coaching website. The link is in the show notes. Or reach out to me for some therapy resources. I would love to be able to help out, to help you empower yourself to be the badass warrior that I know you are. All right, until next time, stay loud, stay bold, and take care of you. Ladies, the revolution starts within. See you all next week. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.